This video is for students who already understand and have memorized the financial statements of Chapter 1, who understand the rules of debit and credit, of analyzing transactions, recording entries in the T accounts, and who are ready to move on to the next level. If you don't feel comfortable with financial statements or rules of debit and credit and T accounts, then it might be best that you not watch this video until you feel more confident in your skills in that area. It just takes practice, because this level actually goes back one step. We've been verbally or in writing showing you transactions, things such as a company starts a new business and cash is deposited in the bank from the shareholders, or maybe a transaction that showed that the company borrowed money from the bank. You've been recording these transactions in T accounts. And what we haven't shown you was something called the General Journal. And this video is about the General Journal. The General Journal is also known as the Book of Original Entry. And this Book of Original Entry is meant to record details about the transaction so that someone using the financial statements and the accounting records doesn't just look at numbers, but they know what's going on with them. So this is what the General Journal looks like. All companies have one. This is what they look like on their computer program. And it shows specific details about an entry. So let's look at this first journal entry, as it's called. This is journal entry number 1. And in this journal entry, the date, as you see, is given right here. And the account title and explanation is shown here. The debits go in this column, and as in a T account, the credits go to the right. Notice it almost looks like a T right here. So let's get rid of some of these marks. And this general journal just gives details so that a user can come back and reference what's going on. And anyone looking at this who's got a very moderate level of understanding of accounting can say, yeah, that first transaction looks like they've deposited $1,000 in their bank account because they received $1,000 for work that they did, and it says on December 10th. They got their money on December the 12th. So they debit cash and credit revenue. And that's a transaction. Now, this transaction needs to be recorded in the proper account. And so this is where T accounts come in. What we need is an account called cash, so we will label this account cash. And if you recall from the rules of debit and credit, cash is increased with a debit. So we'll put the $1,000 here. And then we need to show an account, a T account, titled revenue. And revenue is part of stockholders' equity, and it is increased by a credit. So we will show that here, and so forth. So we'll accumulate all these transactions. Look at the General Journal. There's another transaction. Note that there's a line skipped here. Here's another transaction. This one occurred on, as you see here, December the 17th. And this transaction is for wage expense, paid in cash, and it was check number 123. Of course, all this information will be given to you. So if we put this in the T account, as we learned in class today, we'll set up a T account called wage expense. And we already have a cash account. And so wage expense was $500. If you recall your rules of debit and credit, expenses make stockholders' equity go down, and as a result, expenses are increased through a debit. Part 2 of this transaction is cash. In this case, cash is a credit. Again, refer up here to the debit and credit rules. And remember, this is just like a T. And so we have a $500 check here. And so we're going to put this over in the right-hand side of cash to show that cash has a check that's been drawn on the cash account in the amount of $500. And I could very easily write that there's a balance here in this bank account of $500. And you can see all the accounts in the T accounts. But if someone comes along, as often will happen in a business, if someone comes along and says, I don't understand, what was this $500 for? And the reference is made back here, and the $500 is noted. as having been a payment for wages to the administrative assistant. And that's the way the General Journal works. We'll do some of these in class to study. There are many of them on homework assignments. I hope this video has helped.